Hello and welcome to Frank's School. So much to say about what you're going to see in Willow today, analyzing the movie Willow. Let's start with literary devices. Irony. Irony, it's hard to explain, but there are two ironic moments that you're about to hear. Willow's sidekick says to him, "There's nothing to worry about," I think. And right then, the bird flies over with the baby. And then a little later, I think one of the brownies says, "No harm will come," or something like that. And the very next shot you see they're in a soaking rain. So there's irony. Allusions. There's an allusion is a reference to something famous. And there's a very clear allusion to Gulliver's Travels when the two Elwyn, I guess is what they're called, Willow and his sidekick, when they are tied down and then pulled by the brownies, that's Gulliver on the beach in Gulliver's Travels, very clearly so. Lord of the Rings, that's not quite so obvious, but to me, the scene with the fairy queen, sort of the fairy queen there, to me that is just so reminiscent of a character in Lord of the Rings. And I'll jump here maybe a little bit because we've got here the humble guardian, and the humble guardian. Well, Willow finds out that he has a job to do, but that he's also now is when he knows that this baby is very, very important, and he's humble and meek. Well, he's so much like Frodo Baggins there. At the time that Willow came out, I was surprised that by that time there had not been a wonderful version of The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings made. Why not? I didn't know, and I feel that George Lucas was drawing very heavily on those ideas in there. A crystal clear allusion to A Midsummer Night's Dream. When we come to that archetype of love potion, fairy dust or whatever, dust that makes you fall in love with the first thing you see, and the one brownie falls in love with a cat. Well, that's straight out of Midsummer Night's Dream. That's Bottom falling in love with a donkey. I mean, quickly done, but these are allusions. I did want to mention that there's a vast scale difference now between the grown man, the Elwyn, and the brownies. And that vast scale difference, it reminds me of a movie that was made in the late 40s, I think, called Thief of Baghdad. I don't think it was an intentional allusion to that, but the Thief of Baghdad and the genie, well, not so much the genie, it's when he goes into a castle on a mountaintop. There's that same vast scale difference in size, I mean. Subplots. Well, there's a subplot now that the wand, Willow has got to take this magic wand to Rahzel. I don't know how her name is spelled, so I use my system, Rahzel. The sort of fairy queen tells him that. And then there's also sort of a little tiny subplot within the tavern, I think. I mean, it's very short-lived, but it's the idea that this guy Lug gets interested in Madmartigan, who's dressed up as a woman, and then what comes of it. And the timing of that, when Madmartigan says, "Gentlemen, meet Lug," and he ducks and Lug punches one of them. I mean, that's sort of a self-contained little subplot. That works. The timing is great. Oh, here comes a cat. I try to bribe these cats by feeding them over there before I teach, but she wants to be part of the class. All right, archetypes. Rogue hero. Madmartigan is a perfect example of a rogue hero. And I was surprised I didn't say it yesterday, but maybe you couldn't necessarily tell that yesterday. But he's bad. I mean, he's in jail, in effect. He's a rogue. But he gradually becomes this very likable hero. He's likable from the word go. But I almost know of no better example of a rogue hero than Madmartigan in Willow. When I taught about that last year, I mentioned the oldest one I know of in famous literature is in Treasure Island, Long John Silver. But there are many other rogue heroes, Married with Children, Al Bundy. But that was the matter of last year. All right, the drunk. We've got a drunk. That's an archetype. I mean, it's a stock character, if you will. Transvestite. That always seems to be funny. It is such a common thing in literature and locally. When in fire halls, when people put on amateur plays, people just think that is so funny to see a man dressed up as a woman. Well, the movie uses that. I mean, Shakespeare used it a good bit. A transvestite means a cross-dresser, is the way kids are more likely to know that. The magic wand. These are kinds of characters. A stick, a piece of wood that has... It's really a variant of a hero's special weapon, I think. When I taught that last year, I mentioned that Moses' staff, in a way, is like a hero's special weapon and a little like a magic wand. The humble guardian, I spoke about that already. I would like you to note the architecture of that tavern. And that scene, that tavern scene, is sort of a tavern on the edge of the world. For me, that is so reminiscent of, I think it was the first Star Wars movie. I think it was the first Star Wars movie, where there's this tavern scene full of strange characters. It's an archetype, I think, that kind of a place. But the architecture of it, it's round, and it's got overshots, you would call them, in barns, except barns aren't round like that. I look at that kind of thing, of course, if you followed this at all, I look at details like that, and I draw your attention to it. I'll say this, the baby's acting, they, of course, filmed that baby in many, many ways and got just the perfect shots. But sometimes I think about the idea, or I wonder about, now what happened to that little actress? She was an actress, whether she knew it or not. And, did she grow up then to become an actress? I don't know. Very, very skillfully done, I think, capturing those smiles and frowns on that baby. All right, finally, the chase, the pulse now. Here it goes again, with this very dramatic chase scene. I imagine, well, the whole movie is a chase, but there is that pulse where it gets more intense. I suppose chases must be very expensive to film and very tricky. This chase scene I find very reminiscent of the chase in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones. That's why I've got Indy down here, Indiana Jones. And that also was a creation of George Lucas. Even the music is similar. The music is the Madmartigan theme and other things mixed in. And the horns are playing a lot, Now, I realize normal people don't pay that much attention, but it's worth noting that there is a symphony orchestra busy playing their hearts out, and a conductor to make that music. And then, of course, it has to be put to the movie as well. But if you, people who listen to soundtracks and don't watch the movie, they probably appreciate what I'm talking about. Sometimes I will do that. With all that excitement of the chase, I'll still, part of my mind will listen to what's being done with the music to make it more effective. All right, I think I covered everything here. This is going to be a fun part to watch or to show your class. So I would ask you to, at the end of the chase, when it finally slows down, at that point stop and wait for next time, probably tomorrow. Hope to see you then.